So today we are going to do Act 4, Scene 3. So this Scene 3 is actually is the continuation of Scene 2, and here we find both of them talking to each other. All right. So Brutus, the scene takes place in Brutus's tent. Enter Brutus and Cassius. So Cassius begins by saying that you have wronged me doth appear in this. Now he is quoting an incident. He is actually telling the reason of his being angry. He says that you have wronged me. You have condemned and noted Lucius Pella for taking bribes here of the Sardians. You have condemned. Condemned here means criticized. You have criticized and noted Lucius Pella. Noted here means disgraced. You have criticized and disgraced Lucius Pella for taking bribes here of the Sardians. Actually, Lucius Pella must have been found by Brutus taking bribe uh, from the people of Sardis. So for that, he says that for that you criticized and disgraced him, wherein my letters, praying on his side, because I knew the man, was slighted off. Slighted off means dismissed. And in that matter, my letters, Cassius must have written some letters to Brutus in which he requested him by taking his side, by taking the side of Lucius Pella. But he says that you completely dismissed, my letters. You did not pay attention to my letters and you dismissed him. For that, Brutus says, you wronged yourself to write in such a case. It was your mistake. I have not wronged you. Rather, you have wronged yourself to write in such a case. Why were you advocating a person like Lucius who has been caught doing something wrong? For that, Cassius says, in such a time as this, it is not meet. Meet here means proper or suitable. It is not meet that every nice offense should bear his comment. He says that the kind of time we are having right now, it is not important that every nice offense, nice, you can say trivial offense, small offense, choti si baat ke liye, should bear his comment, that it should bear his comment. Comment here means criticism. क्रिटिसिज्म ऐसा जरूरी नहीं है, आजकल जिस तरह का समय है उसमें ये जरूरी नहीं है कि छोटी छोटी चीजों को क्रिटिसाइज किया जाए. मींस दिस वाज समथिंग दैट यू कुड लीव आल्सो. For that, Brutus says, let me tell you, Cassius, you yourself are much condemned to have an itching palm. Condemned here means criticized. You yourself are much criticized to have an itching palm. Itching palm means for taking bribe. To sell and mart your offices. Mart here means trade. Your offices. Offices means appointments. All right. Offices means appointments for gold to undeservers, those who do not deserve it. He says that you yourself are much criticized for having an itchy palm, for taking bribes. All right. To sell and trade your appointments for gold to undeservers. It has been said that you have been appointing people, undeserving people, in exchange of gold. For that, Cassius suddenly becomes angry. He says, I an itching palm. I an itching palm. Mera itching palm hai. You know that Brutus that speak this. Oh, by the gods, this speech were else your last. You know that it is Brutus only who is speaking this. Otherwise, if you had been somebody else, this would have been your last speech. For that, Brutus says, the name of Cassius honors this corruption, and chastisement doth therefore hide his head. Chastisement, you can say punishment. Punishment. He says the name of the name of Cassius honors this corruption. You know, this corruption is honored because name of Cassius is associated with it. Otherwise, uh, uh, so he says that this corruption is honored, that the name of Cassius is associated with it. That is why even punishment covers itself, hides his head, hides the face. That's why punishment has not been given. क्योंकि इस corruption के साथ कैसियस का नाम जुड़ा है, इसीलिए punishment नहीं मिली. Otherwise, had there been any other person, he would have been punished for it. For that, Cassius says, chastisement, punishment means you will punish me. For that, Brutus says, Remember March, the ides of March, remember. Did not great Julius bleed for justice sake? रिमेंबर आइडिस ऑफ मार्च, याद करो, क्या जो ग्रेट जूलियस था उसकी हत्या इसलिए नहीं हुई, जस्टिस की वजह से? ऑलराइट, व्हाट विलेन टच्ड हिज बॉडी दैट इट स्टैब एंड नॉट फॉर जस्टिस? among us, who was that person who touched his body, who stabbed him, not for justice? Was there any villain among us who touched his body, who stabbed him, not for justice? What shall any one of us, what shall one of us that struck the foremost man of this world, but for supporting robbers, uh, shall one of us struck that man, the foremost man of the world, दुनिया का सबसे ऊपर टॉप लेवल के आदमी को हम लोगों ने अटैक किया, वी अटैक्ड हिम जस्ट बिकॉज ही यूज्ड टू सपोर्ट रॉबर्स, क्योंकि वो रॉबर्स को सपोर्ट करता था. Shall we now contaminate our fingers with base bribes? And now, should we contaminate our fingers with base bribes? We, the people who attacked the foremost person of the world for the sake of justice, for the sake of doing wrong, because he used to save robbers. Now, do you think that we should contaminate, we should spoil our fingers, we should contaminate our fingers with low bribes? अब हम ये छोटी मोटी ब्राइब्स लेकर अपने आप को कंटेमिनेट करेंगे, पोल्यूट करेंगे, and sell the mighty space of our large honors for so much trash as may be grasped thus. And we will sell the large honors of us, we will sell the mighty space of our large honors for so much trash. Trash, you can say just rubbish, rubbish, as may be grasped thus, as may be seen this way. I had rather be a dog and bay the moon. Bay here means bark, bark at the moon, than such a Roman. इससे अच्छा तो मैं dog होता और moon पे bark करता uselessly than being such a Roman. For that Cassius says, Brutus, bay not me. Don't bark at me. I'll not endure it. I am not going to tolerate it. You forget yourself to hedge me in. You forget yourself to hedge me in. You forget yourself to hedge me in. To hedge me in means to restrict my authority. मेरी authority को restrict करने के लिए तुम भूल गए हो कि तुम कौन हो. Alright, means you have no right to restrict my authority. I am a soldier. I older in practice, abler than yourself to make conditions. Conditions here means appointments. He says, I am a soldier and I am elder in practice, very experienced in practice of being a soldier, and therefore I am more able than you to make appointments. मैं बहुत एबल हूं, तुमसे ज्यादा जानता हूं मैं कि किस तरह से अपॉइंटमेंट्स किए जाते हैं. Actually, Brutus questioned him on appointing undeserving people. For that, Brutus says, go to, move away. You are not, Cassius. No, you are not. Cassius says, I am. Brutus again says, I say you are not. Now you see, this kind of heated argument is going on between them, which is making Cassius angry, and Brutus is also getting angry, which is contrary to his nature. So Cassius says, urge me no more. Urge me no more means don't press me far. मुझे और ज्यादा मत परेशान करो. I shall forget myself. मैं अपने आप को भूल जाऊंगा. Have mind upon your health. Tempt me no further. Just think about your health. Just think about your welfare and do not tempt me any further. For that, Brutus, again he keeps snubbing him. He says, away, slight man. Slight man, slight means weak. Away, go away, weak man. For that, Cassius says, is it possible? Is it possible that you are talking to me like this? Brutus says, hear me, for I will speak. Yes, you have to hear me because I will speak. Must I give way and room to your rash choler? Choler is ill temper. Choler is actually supposed to be an element, which an element which leads to ill temper in a person. He says, what do you think? I must give way, I must submit and room to योर इल टेम्पर. तुम जिस तरह से बिहेव कर रहे हो, जिस तरह से गुस्सा दिखा रहे हो, तो मैं क्या उसको ऐसे ही सह लूं? Shall I be frightened when a madman stares? Shall I be afraid when a madman like you stares at me? But that Cassius says, oh, you gods, must I endure all this? Must I tolerate all this? Brutus says, all this. Aye, yes, more, even more. Yes, you will have to tolerate all this. तुम्हें सहना पड़ेगा. Fret till you fret till your proud heart break. Fret means be angry. Be angry. गुस्सा करो जितना भी. Till your proud heart break. जब तक तुम्हें heart attack नहीं आ जाता. Be angry as much as you want. Go, show your slaves how choleric you are. Go and show your slaves how choleric. Choleric means ill-tempered you are. And make your bondmen tremble. And make your slaves tremble. He says, of course, you be angry as much as you want, even if you get a heart attack. Go and show your slaves how ill-tempered you are, and make your slaves tremble. Make your slaves be afraid of you. Must I budge? Must I move? Must I observe you? Must I stand and crouch under your testy humor? Crouch means bow. Under your testy humor, ill mood, your bad mood. What do you think? ये सब मुझसे नहीं चलेगा. जाकर अपने slaves को डराओ. He says कि मैं डरूंगा तुमसे. I should observe you. Should I bow and should I bow under your bad mood? By the gods, you shall digest the venom of your spleen. Venom is the poison. Spleen is anger. You shall digest the venom of your spleen. अपने गुस्से का जो जहर है वो तुम्हें ही पीना पड़ेगा. Means you have to suffer for your anger. Though it do split you, even if it split you, even if it burst you. All right. For from this day forth, क्योंकि आज से I'll use for my mirth. Mirth means amusement. I will use for my amusement, yeah, for my laughter when you are waspish. Waspish means ill-tempered. क्योंकि आज के बाद तुम जब भी गुस्से में होंगे, मैं तो उसको अपने amusement के लिए use करूंगा. I will laugh at you. For that, Cassius says, is it come to this? क्या ये नौबत आ गई है? Brutus says, you say you are a better soldier. Let it appear so. Make your wanting true. Wanting means boasting. He says, तुम ही तो कहते हो कि तुम एक better soldier हो. ठीक है, दिखाओ मुझे अपनी बोस्टिंग को ट्रू करके दिखाओ. जो तुमने इतना बड़ा चढ़ा के बोला है, ट्रू करके दिखाओ. एंड इट शेल प्लीज मी वेल. और वो मेरे लिए ठीक रहेगा. For mine own part, I shall be glad to learn of noblemen. As far as I am concerned, I will be glad to learn of noblemen. For that, Cassius says, you wrong me every way. तुम हर तरह से मुझे गलत समझ रहे हो. You wrong me, Brutus. I said an elder soldier, not a better. मैंने कहा था I am an elder soldier. मतलब I am more experienced, not better. मैंने better नहीं कहा था. Did I say better? मैंने क्या better कहा था? For that, Brutus says, if you did, I care not. Even if you said better, I don't care for it. Cassius, when Caesar lived, he does not thus have moved me. When Caesar lived, he dared not to move me like this. उसने भी इतनी हिम्मत नहीं की थी कि वो मुझे इस तरह से इस तरह से provoke कर सके. For that, Brutus says, peace, peace. You does not so have tempted him. You could not dare to tempt him like this. The way you are tempting me, you dared not to have tempted him. Then Cassius, he becomes more angry. He's like, I dared not. No. What? Does not tempt him? I dared not tempt him. For your life you does not. Cassius, do not presume too much upon my love. Do not presume. Presume means take advantage. Do not take too much advantage of my love. I may do that I shall be sorry for. I may do anything which I'll regret later on. Do not press me far. मुझे इतना मत परेशान करो, and don't take much advantage of my love that I may do an action for which I may have to regret later on. For that, Brutus says, you have done that you should be sorry for. You have already done that action that you should be sorry for. तुम तो already वो काम कर चुके हो. There is no terror, Cassius, in your threats. तुम्हारे थ्रेट्स में कोई टेरर नहीं है. तुम्हारी इन धमकियों में कोई डर नहीं है. For because I am armed so strong in honesty, because I am armed, I am covered with honesty, that they pass by me as the idle wind. I am so strong because of my honesty that these threats of yours pass by me as an idle wind, which I respect not, and I do not respect them at all. Now, Brutus also tells his reason of, being annoyed with Cassius. He says, I did send to you for certain sums of gold. I did send to you, send to ask you for certain sums of gold. मैंने तुमसे कुछ पैसा मांगा था, which you denied me, which you flatly refused. Because I can raise no money by vile means. Vile means evil means. I cannot raise any money by evil means. By heaven, I had rather coin my heart. I had rather coin my heart means I had rather turn my heart into coins, gold coins, and drop my blood for drachmas. Drachmas means silver coins. Or I could turn my blood for silver coins than to wring from the hard hands. Wring means squeeze from the hard hands of peasants their vile trash. Vile trash means little money by any indirection. Indirection means wrong, by doing any wrong. He says that I had rather turn my heart into gold coins and even my blood into silver coins than to squeeze from the hard hands of peasants. मैं अपने हार्ट और ब्लड को खत्म कर दूंगा, उनको मैं सिल्वर और गोल्ड कॉइन्स में चेंज कर लूंगा, बजाय इसके कि जो बेचारे पेजेंट्स, जो फार्मर्स हैं, उनकी थोड़ी सी मनी को भी मैं स्क्वीज कर लूं बाय एनी रॉन्ग मीन्स, कुछ गलत करके. I did send to you. He says, so for that reason, I did not have any money. I was getting short of money and I asked you for it. To you for gold to pay my, I did send to you for gold to pay my legions. Legions are soldiers, army, you know. मैंने अपने सोल्जर्स को पे करने के लिए इसलिए तुमसे पैसे मांगे थे, विच यू डिनाइड मी, जो आपने मना कर दिया. वॉज दैट डन लाइक कैसियस? क्या ये करना चाहिए था कैसियस को? Should I have answered Caius Cassius so? Should I have also answered you like that? When Marcus Brutus grows so covetous to lock such rascal counters from his friends, be ready, gods, with all your thunderbolts, dash him to pieces. He says, when Marcus Brutus, he's talking about himself, grows so covetous, when he becomes so greedy, you know, covetous here means greedy. When he becomes so greedy to lock such rascal counters here means wretched bits of metal. He is calling this to the coins, wretched bits of metal from his friends. अगर कभी मार्कस ब्रूटस ऐसा करे कि सिर्फ कुछ मेटल के कुछ बिट्स के लिए इतना लालची बन जाए, इतना ग्रीडी हो जाए, बी रेडी गॉड्स. गॉड्स को एड्रेस करते हुए कहता है, गॉड्स बी रेडी विद ऑल योर थंडर बोल्ट्स, डैश हिम टू पीसेस, कट हिम इन टू पीसेस. भगवान अगर मार्कस ब्रूटस कभी अपने फ्रेंड्स को ऐसा करे, उनके लिए इतना ग्रीडी हो जाए, तो आप उसको खत्म कर देना. For that Cassius says, I denied you not. मैंने तो तुम्हें मना नहीं किया. Brutus, you did. Cassius, I did not. He was but a fool that brought my answer back. मैंने कभी मना नहीं किया. The messenger who must have brought the answer, he must be a fool that he told you all that. Brutus hath rived my heart. Brutus has pierced my heart. तुमने आज मेरा दिल तोड़ दिया है. A friend should bear his friend's infirmities. Infirmities means weakness. But Brutus makes mine greater than they are. एक फ्रेंड को दूसरे फ्रेंड की वीकनेस को बियर करना चाहिए, लेकिन ब्रूटस ने तो मेरी वीकनेस को जितनी वो है उससे भी ज्यादा बड़ा बना दिया. For that Brutus says, I do not till you practice them on me. I do not till you practice your weaknesses on me. अगर तुम मुझे पर वो वीकनेस दिखाओगे तब ऑफ कोर्स मैं करूंगा, अदरवाइज मैं नहीं करता हूं ऐसे. Cassius says, you love me not, you don't love me. Brutus says, I do not like your faults. It's not that I don't love you, but I don't like your faults, your mistakes. Cassius says, a friendly eye should never see such faults. A friendly eye of a friend should not see such faults. अगर आप एक दोस्त हैं तो आपको दूसरे दोस्त के faults को नहीं देखना चाहिए. For that Brutus says, a flatterers would not, though they do appear as huge as high Olympus. A friend's eyes will always see the faults of another friend, and he will try to correct him also. But yes, a flatterer's eye would not, even if the faults are as great, as huge as high Olympus. Olympus was supposed to be the highest mountain, which used to be the abode of gods and goddesses. He says a flatterer's eye won't see. Friend's eye would always see the wrongs. Then Cassius says, Come, Antony, and young Octavius, come. Now you see, Cassius is extremely grieved, and he in a and he becomes very sentimental, and he suddenly says, "Come, Antony and young Octavius, come. Revenge yourselves alone on Cassius. तुम अकेले Cassius से ही बदला ले लो." For Cassius is aweary of the world. Cassius is aweary means tired of the world, क्योंकि Cassius जो है इस दुनिया से थक चुका है. Hated by one he loves. उसको वो लोग हेट करते हैं जिनसे वो प्यार करता है. Braved by his brother. He is braved means defied. He is defied by his brother. उसका अपने brother उसको defy करते हैं. Checked like a bondman. He is corrected like a bondman. Bondman means slave. He is corrected like a slave. All his faults observed. All his mistakes are observed. Set in a notebook, learned and conned by rote. Conned by rote means learned by heart. Learned by heart. उसकी सारी गलतियों को नोटबुक में सेट किया जाता है, नोट किया जाता है, लर्न किया जाता है, बाय हार्ट लर्न किया जाता है, टू कास्ट इनटू माय टीथ, to repeat it on my face so that my faults can be counted and they can be addressed on my face again and again. Oh, I could weep my spirit from mine eyes. There is my dagger, and here my naked breast, within a heart dearer than Plutus's mine, richer than gold. Now you see, he becomes too sentimental and he tells Brutus, there is my dagger, ye mera dagger hai, and here is my naked breast, or ye meri breast hai, within this chest of mine, a heart dearer than Plutus's mine. Plutus's mine means Plutus's gold mine, richer than gold. My heart, which is richer than gold. If that thou beest a Roman, take it forth. I that denied thee gold will give my heart. He says, if you are a true Roman, take it forth. Take forth my heart. Okay, I denied you gold. It's better you take my heart. Strike as thou didst at Caesar. Strike as you stroke at Caesar. For I know when thou didst hate him worst, thou lovest him better than ever thou lovest Cassius. He says, because I know when you hated him worst, means at the time when you stabbed him, at that time also you used to love him better than you love Cassius. तब भी तुम सीजर से कैसियस से ज्यादा प्यार करते थे. For that Brutus says, sheath your dagger. Keep your dagger in the scabbard only. Okay, keep it inside. इसको वापस रख दो. Be angry when you will. It shall have scope. All right, then be angry when you will. You can be angry when you want. It will have scope. Means you have scope to be angry at me. Do what you will. करो तुम्हें जो करना है. Dishonor shall be humor. Yes, Vedansh?
Ma'am, what is the meaning of scabbard?
Scabbard जिसमें dagger रखा जाता है या sword रखा जाता है. That is
Okay,
called
ma'am.
scabbard. Scabbard.
Okay.
Okay. Cover जो होता है ना, उसका kind of cover. Okay, so now you see, अब जब because when Cassius becomes so sentimental और इतने गुस्से के बाद when he is speaking to Brutus like that, तो तब Brutus कहता है, keep it inside, keep it in your cover. Be angry when you will, be angry whenever you want. It shall have scope. It will have free expression. You can be angry whenever you want. Do what you will. Dishonor shall be humor. Do what you will. If you dishonor me, if you insult me, I will take it as your humor. I will take it as your mood. कि तुम्हारा शायद अभी mood खराब है. Oh Cassius, you are yoked with a lamb. Yoked means tied with a lamb. तुम एक lamb की तरह, as innocent as a lamb. एक person जो एक lamb की तरह है, तुम उसके साथ बंध गए हो. That carries anger as the flint bears fire. Flint is a stone which is a kind of cold stone. So if you strike it, it may produce fire, but just for a moment. There will be a spark of fire and then again it becomes cold. It will be extinguished. So he's comparing, Brutus is comparing himself to a flint. He says that you are tied with a lamb that carries anger as flint bears fire, who much enforced shows a hasty spark. Who much enforced, if you provoke him so much, he will show a hasty spark and straight is cold again. मेरा गुस्सा फ्लिंट की तरह है कि अगर तुम बहुत प्रोवोक करोगे तो एकदम से स्पार्क होगा, लेकिन फिर वो वापस ठंडा पड़ जाएगा. For that Cassius says, hath Cassius lived to be but mirth and laughter to his Brutus? क्या कैसियस ब्रूटस के एंटरटेनमेंट और हंसी के लिए जिंदा है? When grief and blood ill tempered vexeth him, vexeth means trouble him, troubles him, कि कभी उसको अगर दुख की वजह से या blood ill tempered means inherited anger which is there in his blood, you know, anger which is there in his blood, in his nature. He says कि कभी उसको अगर गुस्सा आ जाएगा या दुख की वजह से वो परेशान होगा, तो क्या तुम उससे अम्यूज होगे, क्या तुम हंसी उड़ाओगे उसकी? You know, he is saying, because Brutus said that. Brutus says, when I spoke that I was ill tempered too. जब मैंने ये बात कही थी मैं तब गुस्से में ही था. Cassius says, do you confess so much? Give me your hand. If you confess so much, give me your hand and my heart too. Oh, Brutus. Then Brutus asks, what's the matter? Means, what is it that you are behaving in this way? For that, Cassius says, have not you love enough to bear with me? क्या तुम्हारे अंदर मेरे लिए इतना प्यार नहीं है कि तुम मुझे बर्दाश्त कर सको? When that rash humor which my mother gave me makes me forgetful, when that rash humor, that ill mood which my mother gave me, he says, this anger which has come into me, it's not that I get angry, it's not that it's my nature, but rather my mother gave it to me. Means I have it's genetics, you know, I have inherited it from my mother, and it makes me forgetful. So are you not going to bear with me my anger? For that, Brutus says, yes, Cassius, and from henceforth, and from now, when you are over earnest with Brutus, over earnest means very much angry, too hard or angry or too hard. Whenever you are too hard on Brutus or you are much angry with Brutus, he'll think your mother chides and leaves you. So he'll think, means Brutus will think that it's not you, but it's your mother who is scolding like this, and he will leave you. Then suddenly, you know, there is a poet within. Poet means he must be among those soldiers or those people who have been gathered to behave like soldiers by these people, you know. So he has come to Brutus's tent and he wants to go inside, and that's why he is fighting with these guards. Lucius and Titinus have been put to guard Brutus's tent. So he says, let me go in to see the generals. मुझे अंदर जाने दो. There is some grudge between them. उनके बीच में कुछ लड़ाई चल रही है. इट इज नॉट मीट, इट इज नॉट सुटेबल दे बी अलोन. उनका अकेले रहना ठीक नहीं है, मुझे अंदर जाने दो. ल्यूशियस कहता है, यू शैल नॉट कम टू देम, तुम नहीं जा सकते. पोएट सेज, नथिंग बट डेथ शैल स्टे मी, मुझे कोई नहीं रोक सकता मौत के अलावा. और ये कहकर वो अंदर से वो अचानक से अंदर घुस जाता है. तभी एंटर पोएट, पोएट लूशियस, टिटिनस, वो सब जो है, लूशियस, टिटिनस एंड लूशियस, ये सब इकट्ठे ब्रूटस के टेंट में जाते हैं. तो कैसियस बोलता है, हाउ नाउ, व्हाट्स द मैटर, क्या हो गया? पोएट सेज, फॉर शेम यू जनरल्स, व्हाट डू यू मीन, इट्स रियली शेमफुल, व्हाट डू यू मीन, ये क्या बात है? लव एंड बी फ्रेंड्स as two such men should be, for I have seen more years, I am sure, than you. He says, love and be friends, don't fight with each other as such men should be, because I am very experienced, I am sure, than you. For that, Cassius says, ha ha, he starts laughing, you know. How wildly does this cynic rhyme? How wildly does this cynic, you know, a kind of philosopher, a would-be philosopher, would-be philosopher. देखो ये would-be philosopher जो अभी पूरी तरह से philosopher बना भी नहीं है, किस तरह से he is rhyming, you know. For that, Brutus says, get you hence, Sirrah, you just go from here, saucy fellow, hence, away. Now you see, Brutus doesn't like him at all. For that, Cassius says, bear with him, Brutus. It is his fashion, it is his way to behave like this, to speak like this. For that, Brutus says, I'll know his humor when he knows his time. I'll know his humor when he knows his time, means he knows the proper time to enter somewhere. What should the wars do with these jigging fools? In jigging fools के साथ लड़ाई का क्या मतलब है? Means what will he be doing in that? Companion, hence, go from here. So Cassius says, away, away, be gone. And then poet exits from there. Then Brutus says, Lucius and Titinus, bid the commanders prepare to lodge their companies tonight. Bid the commanders, ask the commanders to lodge their companies. Lodge means to pitch camp, कि वो कैंप लगा लें अपनी कंपनीज के लिए. कंपनीज मींस द battalion of soldiers, what all they are having. Ask them to pitch camp tonight. आज रात हम यहीं रुकेंगे. For that, Cassius says, and come yourselves and bring masala with you immediately to us. और अपने साथ जो है मिसाला को भी लेकर आना. तो exit, yes, Vedansh. So then Cassius commands them that you must bring Misala also with you immediately to us. So Lucius and Titinus leave from there. Now Lucius is left. So Brutus addresses Lucius and he says, Lucius, a bowl of wine. Please bring a bowl of wine. So Lucius also goes. Cassius says, I did not think you could have been so angry. मैंने कभी नहीं सोचा था कि तुम भी इतना गुस्सा हो सकते हो. Because I told you ना that it was contrary to Brutus's nature to be so angry. Otherwise, he was a very patient and very calm person. For that, Brutus says, O Cassius, I am sick of many griefs. I am really sick of many griefs, sorrows. For that, Cassius says, of your philosophy you make no use if you give place to accidental evils. If you give place to accidental evils, means the evils that happen accidentally, it means you are not making use of your own philosophy, because you have always been a kind of wise person. You all right, and you had your own philosophies to handle situations. तो अगर तुम नहीं कर पा रहे हो तो इसका मतलब तुम अपनी ही philosophies का use नहीं कर रहे हो. For that, Brutus says, no man bears sorrow better. कोई इंसान इससे better sorrow bear नहीं कर सकता. Portia is dead. Portia, his wife. And then he informs Cassius that his wife is dead. Cassius says, how, Portia? Because Cassius did not know about it. Brutus says, she is dead. Cassius, how escaped I killing when I crossed you so? How escaped I killing when I crossed you so, when I angered you so? कहता है कि जब मैंने तुम्हें इतना गुस्सा दिलाया तो मतलब मैं मरने से कैसे बच गया. Other, because Brutus and Portia's relationship has always been known as an ideal husband-wife relationship. They both loved each other like anything. Okay, so Cassius somehow he becomes astonished. He says, oh, insupportable and touching loss. Upon what sickness? Means she died upon what sickness? For that, Brutus says, impatient of my absence. She could not bear my absence. And grief and sorrow that young Octavius with Mark Antony have made themselves so strong. और उसके साथ साथ उसको ये बहुत दुख हो गया था, टेंशन हो गई थी कि जब उसको पता चला कि यंग ऑक्टेवियस और मार्क एंटनी अब वो दोनों मिल गए हैं एंड दे हैव बिकम सो स्ट्रांग, मींस दे आर फॉर्मिंग अ स्ट्रांग आर्मी टू अटैक अस. For with her death that tidings came, because those tidings, those news came with her at the time of her death only. With this she felt she became like distracted, mad with this news, and her attendants absent, and her attendants were absent at that time. She swallowed fire. She swallowed fire. She took some poison. So Cassius says, and died so. Even so, at that time only. Cassius, oh, you immortal gods. Then Lucius re-enters with wine and taper. Taper is candle. वो candle और wine लेकर आता है. तब ब्रूटस कहता है, speak no more for her, of her. और उसके बारे में और बात नहीं करेंगे. Give me a bowl of wine. In this I bury all kindness. In this I bury all kindness. I succumb to, this unkindness, these feelings. All right. Then Cassius says, my heart is thirsty for that noble pledge. Even my heart is thirsty for that noble pledge. Fill, Lucius, till the wine overswell the cup. Overswell means overflows the cup. I cannot drink too much of Brutus's love. Uh, Fill wine for me also. तो वो उसके लिए भी डाल देता है. Then Brutus says, come in, Titinus, because Titinus was asked to bring Messala, right? So he asked him to come inside. So Lucius exits from there, re-enter Titinus and Messala. वो दोनों वहां पर आ जाते हैं. So Brutus says, come in, Titinus. So Lucius exits from there and then re-enter Titinus with Messala. Messala comes with Titinus. So Brutus bids him welcome. He says, welcome, good Messala. Now sit we close about this taper here. Taper, as I told you earlier, with this candle here. Let us sit around this candle and call in question our necessities, and we should ask our necessities means what all is necessary to be done. Let us discuss that. So for that, Cassius, suddenly he remembers Portia and he says, Portia, art thou gone? Have you really gone? For that, Brutus says, no more, I pray you. I request you, no more. Let us not have this subject anymore. Misala, I have here received letters that young Octavius and Mark Antony come down upon us. They are going to come down upon us. They are going to attack on us with a mighty power, bending their expedition toward Philippi. Bending their expedition, bending means you can say marching their expedition, their army toward Philippi. They are going to come through in the direction of Philippi. For that, Misala says, myself have letters of the self same tenor. Even I have letters of similar effect. All right. Self same tenor means similar effect. So for that, Brutus says, with what addition? Means with what addition? Is there anything else that the letters that you have received, they say? All right, for that, Misala says that by proscription and bills of outlawry, by proscription, proscription is the order of doom, order of doom, that by proscription and bills of outlawry, outlawry means sentencing to exile, sentencing to exile. Octavius, Antony, and Lepidus, that group, that triumvirate, have put to death 100 senators. They have put 100 senators to death either by proscription, by giving them order of doom, or by outlawry, by sentencing them to exile. For that, Brutus says, therein our letters do not well agree. Agree means match. Our letters do not match uh, in that. Therein means in that. In this information, our letters do not match. My letter speaks of 70 senators that died by their proscriptions, Cicero being one, and Cicero is one of them. For that, Cassius suddenly says, Cicero won. Misala says Cicero is dead. Yes, he is dead. And by that order of proscription, by the same order of doom, had you your letters from your wife, my lord? Have you got any letters from your wife? Now, you see, this is the topic that Brutus doesn't want to talk about, but everybody is the way it affected Cassius. So now suddenly Messala also asks that, have you received any letters from your wife? For that, Brutus says, no, Messala. Messala says, no, nothing in your letters writ of her. No, nothing in your letters writ of her. At the same time, you did not write anything in your letters about her. For that, Brutus says, nothing, Messala. Then Miss Alate says, that is strange. Methinks. Methinks means I think. I think that is strange. Brutus says, why ask you? Why are you asking like this? Here you ought for her in yours. Ought means anything of her. Do you have anything of about her in your letters? For that Misala says, no, my lord. Brutus says, now, as you are a Roman, tell me true. No, you will have to tell me true. Tell me the truth. For that Misala says, then, like a Roman, bear the truth I tell. All right, let me tell you the truth, but then you should also bear the truth like a Roman. For certain she is dead, and by strange manner. The information is that I've received in letters that she is dead, and that too by strange manner. For that Brutus says, why, farewell, Portia. We must die, Messala. With meditating that she must die once, I have the patience to endure it now. He says, yes, we must die. We all have to die one day. And with meditating, by keeping that thought in mind that even she had to die once, I have the patience to endure it now. I have the patience to endure, to tolerate this news with the thought that being mortals, we all have to die one day. Even she was supposed to die one day. For that, Misala says, even so great men, great losses should endure. Even great men should endure great losses with this thought only, uh, with this kind of spirit only. For that, Cassius says, I have as much of this in art as you, but yet my nature could not bear it so. He says, even I have this in art, this philosophy, this theory that you are using to endure the loss. Even I have the same kind of philosophy in me as much as you have, but yet my nature could not bear it so. Still, it is difficult for me to bear it. For that, Brutus says, well, do our work alive. It's better that now we should no more of dead. Let us resume to our work alive. Let us resume to a business with the living. All right. What do you think of marching to Philippi presently? Presently means at once. What do you think that if we also start marching to Philippi at once? For that, Cassius says, I do not think it good. I do not think it is good. Brutus says, your reason for that? Cassius says, this it is. It is better that the enemy seek us. It is better if enemy seek us. He searches for us. So shall we waste his time, so shall we waste his means, weary his soldiers, doing himself offense. He says that it's better let him search for us. Our enemy should search for us, and in that way, it will waste his means. Mean means resources, of course. It will waste his resources. It will make his soldiers tired, weary. Weary means tired, doing himself offense. In that way, he will wrong himself. Whilst we, lying still, are full of rest, defense, nimbleness. Nimbleness means quickness. So he says, while we, because we'll be lying, we'll remain full of strength, we'll be able to combat our enemies with defense, energy, and vigor. For that, Brutus says, good reasons must, of course, give place to better. He says, your reasons are good, but they must give way to better ones. All right, they must give way to better ones. The people twixt Philippi and this ground do stand, but in a forced affection. He says the people between Philippi and this ground here means Sardis. The people between Philippi and Sardis have no goodwill towards us. They stand, but in forced affection. They have forced affection. They do not have goodwill of us. They do not like us. For they have grudged us contribution. They have grudged us contribution. They are contributing towards our supply. Because they have to contribute for our supply. That's why they have a grudge for us. The enemy marching along by them shall make a fuller number up, come on refreshed, new added, and encouraged. The enemy, when he is marching along by them, if we allow our enemy to march through this district, okay, then it is certain that they would join our armies. Then it is certain that they would join our enemies. Okay, अगर हमारे enemies इस district तक आते हैं, of course the people of this district will help our enemies, and in that way our enemies will become refreshed, new added. New added means reinforced and encouraged. From which advantage shall we cut him off? And we should cut them off from this advantage. If at Philippi we do face him there, these people are at our back. If we face them at Philippi, if we ourselves go towards Philippi, so of course these people will be behind us. Okay, then they are not going to be merged with the army of enemies. For that, Cassius says, hear me, good brother, listen to me. But Brutus says, under your pardon, you must note beside that we have tried the utmost of our friends. Our legions are brimful, our cause is ripe, the enemy increaseth every day. We at the height are ready to decline. Now, Brutus gives more reason. Under your pardon, excuse me, let me continue. You must note beside, with this, you should also note that we have tried the utmost of our friends. We have taken the utmost help from our friends, from our allies. We have taken utmost help from them. Our legions are brimful. Our legions means regiments, regiments of soldiers. Regiments of soldiers are full, full to the edge. Our cause is ripe. At the same time, Our cause is full, the enemy increaseth every day. Our enemy is uh, our cause is right means this is the right moment for us to fight for one right cause. Okay, this is the right moment for us to fight for one right cause. Our cause is ripe here means right, हम सही कारण सही मकसद के लिए लड़ रहे हैं. The enemy increaseth every day. रोज हमारे enemy जो हैं वो increase हो रहे हैं, means the strength, our enemy is gaining strength every day. All right, we at the height are ready to decline. We cannot remain at the height of prosperity. Of course, we are ready to decline. All right, if right now we are at the height, then we have to decline. You know, there is a tide in the affairs of men, which taken at the flood leads on to fortune. Omitted, all the voyage of their life is bound in shallows and in miseries. He says, if men can make the best use of opportunity when it comes, then of course the victory is theirs. Just as there is a tide in the sea, जैसे समुद्र में एक लहर उठती है, there is a tide in the life of men also. All right, there is a tide in the in the affairs of men, in the life of men, which taken at the flood leads on to fortune. If we take that tide on flood, it leads to fortune. A ship sailing in the sea, if it sails out when the tide comes, अगर वो लहर के साथ ही sail कर लेती है, तो it will sail comfortably. It will lead to fortune. All right. Omitted means missing. लेकिन अगर उसने tide को miss कर दिया, if the tide is missed, of course, she is bound to be stuck up in the shallows. Then similarly, she is bound. So here he takes the analogy of a ship on the sea. Okay, when a ship is sailing on the sea and there comes a tide, sea tide, and it follows the tide, then of course that is a smooth sailing. Our legions are brimful. Legions here means regiments. Regiments of soldiers are brimful, means they are full up to the edge. Our cause is ripe. Ripe means right. जो हमारा cause है, cause of fighting, that is also correct. The enemy increaseth every day. The strength of enemy is increasing every day. We at the height are ready to decline. At this time, we are at the height of prosperity, because all points related to our related to our defense, they all points are correct on our part. So now we should be ready to decline. There is a tide in the affairs of men, which taken at the flood leads on to fortune. Omitted, all the voyages of their life is bound in shallows and in miseries. Now here he takes the analogy of sea tide and a ship sailing on the sea. वो उसका example लेकर कहता है, for example, if a ship is sailing on the sea and there is a tide and the ship follows the tide, the ship follows the direction of the tide, then it is a smooth sailing for the ship. All right, but if it misses the tide, then of course there is a danger for the ship to get stuck in the shallows. So the same thing he is, similarly, there are tides in affairs of men also. In human affairs, we find sometimes there are tides. So if we take them at the flood, they lead us to the fortune. Means if we take up the opportunity, then of course it leads to the fortune. But if omitted means missed. If we miss the opportunity, then the voyage of their life, the journey of their life is bound in shallows. It is stuck in shallows and in miseries, and then it becomes miserable. On such a full sea are we now afloat. We are now floating, we are now sailing on such a full sea which is full of tide, full of water, and we must take the current when it serves or lose our ventures. And it is important that we must take the current, we must take the favorable current, when it flows. Otherwise, we'll lose our ventures. Otherwise, we lose our ventures, we lose what we have risked. हमने जो भी risk लिया है, वो सब हम खो देंगे. For that, Cassius says, then with your will, go on. Then go on with your will. Let's move. Let's go on. Let's move as you want. We'll along ourselves and meet them at Philippi. We'll be together and we'll meet them at Philippi. Brutus says, the deep of night is crept upon our talk. The deep of night is crept. The night has fallen, upon our talk. बात करते हुए बहुत रात हो गई है. And nature must obey necessity. And we must obey necessary call of nature. और हमें nature को भी समझना चाहिए, which will regard with a little rest. So he says, the deep of night is crept upon our talk. Is crept means it has come slowly upon our talk, means the night has fallen upon our talk, and nature must obey necessity. And nature, and we should always obey necessary calls of nature, means human nature must accept its needs when we will satisfy a short rest. Okay, nature's call to rest, nature's call to sleep, which if we will negard means satisfy as miserly as possible with a little rest. There is no more to say. There is no more to say. और कुछ है कहने के लिए? कैसियस कहता है no more. और कुछ नहीं है. Good night. Early tomorrow will we rise and hence means go away. हम कल सुबह उठेंगे और निकल जाएंगे. Brutus then calls Lucius. Lucius comes, my gown, bring my gown. And then Lucius exits from there. He says, farewell, good Messala. Good night, Titinus, noble Cassius. Good night and good repose and good rest. Okay, he wishes them good rest. So Cassius says, oh, my dear brother, this was an ill beginning of the night. Never comes such division between our souls. He wishes that it was the beginning of the night, today, the way we began, it was really bad. And such division, such separation, such division between our souls should never happen. Let it not, Brutus. Brutus says, everything is well. Don't worry, everything is fine. So Cassius also wishes him a good night, my lord. Brutus says, good night, good brother. Titinus also wishes good night, Lord Brutus. Now Brutus says, farewell, everyone. Exeunt all but Brutus. Now everybody leaves from there except Brutus. So re-enter Lucius with his gown. He asked for the gown. Na? He says, give me the gown. Where is thy instrument? Where is your instrument? He asked him. Lucius says, here in the tent. I have it here only. Brutus says, what? Thou speakest drowsily? You are speaking drowsily as if you are sleepy? Poor knave, I blame thee not. I don't blame you. Thou art overwashed. You had to watch us, you were overwashed. Overwashed means you have been kept awake for a long time. Call Claudius and some other of my men. I'll have them sleep on cushions in my tent. So call other people, Claudius and some other my men. I'll make them sleep on cushions in my tent. So Lucius says, Varro and Claudius, he calls them. So Varro and Claudius, they are Brutus's men. They come over there. So Varro says, calls my lord. Did you call me, my lord? Brutus says, I pray you, sirs, lie in my tent and sleep. It's better you lie in my tent and sleep here. It may be I shall raise you by and by on business to my brother Cassius. It may be possible that I will raise you by and by, once you and another time you on business to my brother Cassius, to go on business to my brother Cassius. Varus says, so please you, we will stand and watch your pleasure. We will stand and watch your pleasure. We'll wait for your orders. Brutus says, I will not have it so. No, I don't want you to keep standing and watch for my orders. Lie down, good sirs. It may be I shall otherwise bethink me. It may be that I may change my mind. I shall otherwise bethink me means it can be that I may change my mind. Look, Lucius, here is the book I sought for so. I put it in the pocket of my gown. Lucius, this is the book that I was looking for, and now put it in the pocket of my gown. So Varro and Claudius, they lie down in Brutus's tent only. Lucius says, I was sure your lordship did not give it me. I am sure your lordship did not give it to me. For that, Brutus says, bear with me, good boy. I am much forgetful. Please bear with me. I have become very forgetful. Canst thou hold up thy heavy eyes a while and touch thy instrument a strain or two? Can you hold up your heavy eyes? Why heavy eyes? Because you must be feeling sleepy. Can you please hold up your heavy eyes for some time and touch your instrument a strain or two? And can you please play your instrument? He's talking about the musical instrument. He says, ah, yes, my lord, and please you, if it pleases you. It does, my boy. I trouble thee too much, but thou art willing. I really trouble you a lot, but I hope you are willing. For that, Lucius says, it is my duty, sir. Brutus says, I should not urge thy duty past thy might. I should not urge your duty, past your strength, because it's night and you must be falling sleepy. I know young bloods took I know young bloods look for a time of rest. I really know that young people like you, they look for a time of rest. For that, Lucius says, I have slept, my lord. I've already slept. So he says, it was well done. Ye अच्छा किया तुमने. And thou shalt sleep again. I will not hold thee long. And you will sleep again. I will not hold you for a long time. If I do live, it will be good to thee. If I do live, it will be good to you. And then a music is played, and he sings a song. This is a sleepy tune. O murderous slumber, layst thou thy leaden mace upon my boy. So he asked Lucius to play some music, and so music is played and a song, and Lucius is also singing a song. For that, Brutus says, this is a sleepy tune. This is a tune which makes me sleepy. Oh, murderous slumber. He calls slumber, you understand? Sleep. He calls sleep murderous because it kills the senses. All right, because it kills the senses. He says, O murderous slumber, layst thou thy leaden mace upon my boy. Layst thou, layst thou thy leaden mace. Leaden mace here means influence upon my boy. Boy here is the Lucius. He is talking about him only. He says that exercise your deadening influence on my boy that plays the music, who is playing music for you. Good boy, gentle knave means good boy, good night. I will not do thee so much wrong to wake thee. I will not disturb you. I will not do so much wrong to wake you up. If thou does not, thou breaks thy instrument. If you do nod, means if you fall over, you may break your instrument, means you can stop playing your instrument. I'll take it from thee. I'll take it from you. And good boy, good night. So after saying that, now he starts reading the book also, the book he was talking about now, which was there in the pocket. He says, let me see, is not the leaf turned down where I left reading? So I think I turned the page down where I left reading. So he is actually, while he's singing, he wants to read the book further. Here it is, I think. So he is reading. At that moment only, the ghost of Caesar enters his tent. Okay, ghost of Caesar comes. He says, how ill this taper burns, this candle burns so ill, means you know how badly this candle burns. Huh, who comes here? Who comes here? I think it is the weakness of mine eyes that shapes this monstrous apparition. Now, of course, he understands that it is, he says, I think it is weakening of my eyes. It is the weakness of my eyes that creates such monstrous, terrible apparition. Apparition is appearance. पक्का मेरी आंखें कमजोर हो गई हैं, है ना? This is what he thinks. See, this is what he thinks. It comes upon me. It comes towards me. Are thou anything? Are you anything? क्या तुम कुछ हो? Are thou some god, some angel, or some devil that makes my blood cold and my hair to stare? Are you some kind of god, some angel, or you are some devil that make me frightened? Making the blood cold and hair to stare. So he asked that you are making me frightened. Speak to me what thou art. Speak to me what you are. Ghost says, thy evil spirit, Brutus. Brutus, I am your evil spirit. Brutus says, why comes thou? Why have you come? Ghost says, to tell thee thou shalt see me at Philippi. To tell you that you will see me at Philippi. Brutus says, well, then I shall see thee again. Okay, all right. Then you intend to visit me again. I at Philippi. Yes, I will visit you at Philippi. Brutus says, why? I will see thee at Philippi then. All right, then I will see you at Philippi. So Ghost exits from there suddenly. Now he says, now I have taken now I have taken heart, thou vanishest. Now I have taken heart when you are vanished. I have taken my courage when you are vanished. Boy, Lucius, Varro, Claudius, sirs, awake, Claudius. He makes everybody awaken. So the strings, my lord, are false. So now suddenly he says that they are false means they are out of tune. The strings of my instrument are out of tune. Brutus says he thinks he still is at his instrument. Lucius, awake. So he says, now you see, Lucius must have slept. So suddenly he says that my strings have got out of tune. He says he still thinks that he is playing the instrument. So Lucius says, my lord. Brutus says, didst thou dream, Lucius, that thou so cried out? Did you dream that you cried out like this? Lucius says, my lord, I do not know that I did cry. I actually don't know that I cried. Brutus says, yes, that thou didst. You cried. Didst thou see anything? Have you seen anything? Nothing, my lord. Then he says, sleep again, Lucius. Sirrah Claudius. Then he calls Claudius. Then to Varro, fellow, thou awake. You awake. So he says, my lord. Claudius also says, my lord. Yes, my lord. Brutus says, why did you so cry out, sirs, in your sleep? आप सोते सोते इतनी जोर से क्यों चिल्लाए? Varro says, did we, my lord? क्या हम चिल्लाए? I saw you anything? क्या तुमने कुछ देखा? No, my lord, I saw nothing. Claudius also says, nor I, my lord. Brutus says, go and commend me to thy brother Cassius. Go and commend me. Go and call my brother Cassius. Bid him set on his powers betimes before, and we will follow. Ask him to set on his powers before time. Okay, उसको बोलो कि tell him to start off with his forces before time. I shall follow hereafter. We will follow. मैं उसको follow करूंगा. Where it says, it shall be done, my lord. And then they all exit.